Welcome to Box Wine Therapy, where the wine is cheap and the therapy's priceless. We're two best friends, a couple of moms, and professional oversharers here to spill the wine and real life. I'm Kayla. I'm Hannah. Now let's get it started.
Welcome to Box Wine Therapy. Tonight we have someone who I have followed since about 2021 after first heard her on a podcast, Caitlin Bristow's on Off the Vine. And I fell in love with her then, and I decided to follow her on Instagram, and I followed her ever since. Started her in-home business doing in-home wine tastings at the age of 23. She's based in Phoenix, Arizona, and also has her very own wine label, Fast Wine Co.
Mhm.
Please welcome Samantha the Sommelier.
I'm so excited. Thanks for having me. And it's so cool to see Faf. I think this is Faf's first podcast. So thank you.
You're basically our celebrity, so I just feel like having in the background playing the Wayne's World, like, "We're not worthy."
Oh my God. I love that. I love that. And I love that you found me through KB and Spade and Sparrows. Oh my gosh. I miss being their sommelier for their wine club. Those were good times for sure.
And you didn't really take the time working in a restaurant doing the sommelier thing, did you?
So that's a good question. Yeah, I kind of did it backwards. So like instead of like working in the industry and then deciding to, take my certifications, I impulsively was like, I've never been in the industry world, but I want to. So I'm going to go do my certifications and then get out and start working. So I did a little bit backwards. No regrets. It's just, how life takes you. I was lucky to do it the way that I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I knew absolutely nothing going in other than I liked wine, I liked eating. And I'm like, maybe I can make a career out of this because I fucking hate my job right now. So just, that impulsive mindset where I didn't know what was gonna come out of it. And I'm very thankful that a lot has really happened since then. But yeah.
Awesome. During COVID is when you really found your niche market and you were able to start some virtual tastings at home for people. How has that changed, or is it still pretty much the same? I know you obviously people can get together more, but do you find that you're doing a lot of virtual tastings still because it's just so convenient and everybody gets access?
Yeah, that's a great question. And going back to just like how, having kids and just making things like more accessible and having something like cozy to look forward to without having to get an Uber, and call a babysitter. So, yes, I am doing virtual tastings almost just as much as I was during the pandemic. And the way it kind of started out is, as you know, I started doing in home private tastings across the Valley of Scottsdale and Phoenix. And when the pandemic hit, I actually didn't think I wanted to make like a full business on it. My mind wasn't really thinking so much like that, like large scale. I just
Mhm.
felt really bad for a lot of like the brides and bachelorettes that had to cancel or postpone their weddings and their bridal showers and whatnot because
Yeah.
I dodged a bullet and like just got married in 2019 before shit hit the fan. So got to have everything, work out as normal. So my heart just hurt for a lot of close friends, So I posted on Instagram and I was like, hey, I do private tastings in home for Scottsdale residents, but I'm going to start doing virtual Zoom ones. The first people that comment on this post and had to postpone a event because of, the pandemic, let me know. I'd love to offer you a complimentary Zoom tasting. So what kind of started as just trying to just do something nice, it was like an unintentional, I guess, marketing tactic. So I ended up doing like a lot of complimentary virtual tastings. I think I did about 50 back then. No regrets for any time spent because, say a group of 10 gals were on the Zoom with me, at least one or two of them would reach out and book me for another virtual event with their family, their loved ones, their significant other. So it just kind of started like a chain, effect.
Yeah, it worked out.
And that was really what I owe it kind of like taking off. And then flash forward to, are we in 2025? We're in 2025.
Yes.
2025. I do probably I try to work 5 to 6 days a week, not every day. I do at least 2 virtual tastings a day. So
Wow.
I'm very, very thankful that people still see the fun and the beauty of it because it allows me to connect with people across the US and even the globe. Last night I did a virtual event for a gal's birthday, and she was one loved girl. She had friends tune in from Ireland at 2 a.m. She had people in the
Wow.
She had people, just throughout across the US, and just goes to show you don't have to wait months and years to see someone. You can get
Yeah.
together and just do something fun, right away, and kind of takes it a step above maybe the usual FaceTime or whatever. So anyways, I've gotten the virtual system, squared down to a really good system and can kind of work with anyone no matter where they're located and what wines they have access to.
You said you do about 2 a day typically when you're working. Do you taste with them?
That's a great question. Everyone just probably assumes like you must just be drunk all day, Sam, just like,
I
drinking
wasn't
whatever.
saying that, I was just wondering, like, how much fun you have
I
every day.
that's a It's a really good question, and you know what I had to do early on when I started my wine business is because being young and being surrounded by alcohol, and let's be real, like, I got access to a lot of complimentary booze working in the industry. I had to set boundaries for myself, and
Yes.
I always from the very beginning separated my just recreational drinking and my work drinking. So when I'm doing a tasting with a client, member, whatever, I'll take maybe 2, 3 sips just to make it inclusive and engage. But I kind
Mhm.
of talk about it kind of like a chef isn't like eating their food while they're serving it to you, right? Like they've already
Right.
had it before, they've tried it, they're confident in it. That's kind of how it works on my end. The wines that I recommend for the person on the other side, I've had it before, or at the very least, that style of wine, that varietal stuff like that. So, yeah, I'll take a few sips just for celebratory purposes here and there, but I save my actual indulgence for when I'm off the clock to make sure that I'm a professional because I can be very blunt and outgoing and carefree sober. So I don't
I
want to
knew I
test
felt
the
like we were
waters.
best friends already.
I think we definitely are on the same page on that. But when it comes to like a podcast, to me, I've kind of made it's in the middle. We're like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna drink a glass of wine during this, like it's like in that
especially because 'cause I'm
middle ground
forcing
here.
you to drink, boxed wine while we do this, so
Look,
you
we
have to
gotta
try
slap the
some.
bag, right? So we gotta engage and practice what we preach during it. So all on board for that. But yeah, so to everyone at home, I'm not hammered while I'm leading the tasting. That'd be really impressive if I was though.
Not every time.
Not every time, just sometimes.
Kayla and I have said, when we comment back and forth on each other's things go on there, she goes, "Why do I feel like we're already friends with her?" I said, "'Cause we basically are. Like, we're gonna talk,
I
she's gonna
I
realize
really
she
do
loves
love
us."
that. And I do
Yeah,
think that as kind of fucked up social media can be and like draining, I always have to remember I'm so thankful that it's brought me to my humans like you guys. And like I think we both do a great job at just putting our true, full fucking shit out there. So you kind of
yeah,
what you see is what you get. And then
yeah,
you're just going to attract the same people you actually want to be around. So when someone is like, is it nerve wracking to hop on a Zoom with someone you've never met before? Or go to someone's house you're leading a tasting for you've never met? I usually say not really because I feel like if they found me and engage with me already through social media, we kind of know what we're getting into. You kind of set the
yeah,
tone. So I think that's a beautiful thing. And I'm really thankful that it's brought us together.
me too. Tonight, I'm making a sommelier. I literally wrote it on my notes.
You said it so
Sommelier.
well, so elegantly. Yeah, beautiful.
Sommelier. And I'm gonna say it
Thank
like that every time.
you.
I'm making a sommelier try box wine tonight, even though
Yeah.
she has drank it before, obviously. But we're gonna do a black box cab and a Boda box Pinot Grigio, and
Love
then
it.
we're gonna get to try the fast wines of Sam's. So
Yes.
I'm really excited for that too. We're already drinking the couch crusher,
You already
and it's
have the Pinot poured? Oh my God, I gotta ask. All right, what do you
so
think?
good. I love it. Delicious. I'm a cab and a Pinot girl, and I might be wrong, but I feel like it's a little drier than most Pinot. Am I
Yeah,
wrong?
I think you're exactly right. I mean, I'm the first to be like, what you get is what you get. Don't let me tell you otherwise. But at the same time, it's like I'll tell you kind of the vibe of it. And it totally is a very dry Pinot. It looks like it's not gonna really be packing a punch. It looks really light.
Yeah,
I'll
that's what I
even
thought
dare
when I
say
first saw it.
a little watery. It looks very light, right?
Yeah.
And then when someone takes a sip, they're like, whoa, like it tastes way more flavorful and pungent than I thought it was gonna be, but at the same time, something that maybe would steer someone away that's, like, doesn't really like the really dry, like, tannic, it's not over the top, right? It's
No.
still pretty smooth. I mean, that's why she's literally a couch crusher, chilling out on the couch with a glass
Yeah.
of wine in hand. She's just missing her Taco Bell, to be honest, but
Ugh.
we just
So,
wanted
the
it
re
to be middle ground, how you're like a Cab fan, a Pinot fan. We wanted it to be like the red wine for everyone. And whether
yeah,
you're a
speaking
white
as a
wine girl,
non-Kayla
red wine
fan.
girl, like everyone could maybe see something in it that they liked. And hot tip, I don't know if I told you, I like to serve it cold, like even like fridge temp. Kinda like we would our boxed wine, have, like, a slight chill, and it just is more easygoing,
Mhm.
refreshing, keeps all, like, the juicy fruits kinda bright and lively. But, yeah, just a good wine moving from summer into fall and just all year round, so I'm very happy you guys like it. But it is high alcohol. I think it's sitting at 14%, so as easy drinking as she is, she'll pack that punch of, like, you finish the bottle and you're like, "Oh, I'm, like, fucked up now," like, always look at the bottle. That percentage is gonna really be that reason why, right? It made you feel a certain way.
Increasing the calories if,
No, you're not. You're get
no, if
exactly. You're
these, like,
getting
the Stella Rosas and stuff that have, like, 6% alcohol, and somebody's like, "Oh, I've got Stella Rosa." No shame, people. I mean, I'm not gonna yuck your yum, but I'm not wasting calories on
just takes
6%
forever to get a
alcohol.
buzz. It's like,
Right!
yeah,
I
I
gotta drink the
respect
whole
drink what
bottle.
you think tastes good. Yeah, and I think
Yeah,
it's kinda like, what's your goal of the night? Like,
yeah,
is it to have one and done? Is it you wanna nurse that bottle through, the show you're binging? Just kinda, we're all adults, know what you're getting into and plan
yeah,
accordingly, right? There's a wine for
right.
everyone and every occasion.
One of my problems is, like, last night, we opened a bottle of wine for dinner. I had a friend over, so we opened a bottle of wine to have, and we started with that, but then it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna have my 2nd glass," even though I didn't realize that I already had half the bottle with my husband,
Yeah,
and
of
then
course.
I go to the fridge and I fill up with my box wine, and then I wake up at 3 in the morning, thirsty as hell, like, "What the he I
Like,
only had
like
2
you're like when you're
glasses."
like a snake and you're just drying out.
Yeah, and then I'm like, "Oh, no, I didn't have 2 glasses. I had 2 glasses and then I dipped into the box." So I'm like, "Okay, that's my problem when I drink a bottle before a box." I'm like,
I
"Oops,
love that you
my
did
bad."
some logical reasoning in bed at 3 AM where you're like, "I'm not blaming the wine." You're like, "I
Yeah,
knew what I was
maybe I
doing."
just didn't.
And I think that self-awareness is something to be respected as we get older and still embrace our wine endeavors. And as you know, adding like a snack, like where you ate dinner, right? And you drank
Yes, of
amazing. At
course.
least you had some dinner with your wine, right? So that's always like the first step. And then if you end up drinking like a few glasses after, then you kinda know what's going on, but at least you started with something in your stomach, and I always tell people, like,
Right.
plan, best case scenario would be that, is having some food with it.
I'm not the type of girl you ever have to worry, "Oh, we had a salad before I show up to go drinking." That is not
Like, "I
me,
didn't eat
ever.
anything, I'll be drinking on an empty stomach, damn."
"I
Like, you're
forgot
like,
to
"No."
eat today." Not me. Not me.
You know what's
Yeah.
funny is I just was out with my friend a couple nights ago, and I made us pasta before we went, and I wasn't, like, trying to get, like, shit-faced that night, like, that wasn't my intention at all. I just wanted to get my money's worth of the
Yeah,
expensive cocktails we were buying,
for
so, like,
sure.
bare minimum, like a buzz. And so I got 3 of the cocktails where we were at, and I, like, look at my friend and I'm like, I don't feel one damn thing. Like, I was pissed. I was like, I spent like $56, like
Wow.
it was like, hard alcohol. Who knows what they put in it, like, sweeteners
Yeah.
and stuff. So like I feel like I'm at that age where it's like I want a buzz if I'm gonna go spend money out and I'm paying good money for it. So it's like I was really pissed. I'm like, I ate too much, I guess.
Yeah. My husband will say that. He'll be like, "I don't wanna eat a big meal because I wanna feel the buzz." I'm like, you're gonna be hung over tomorrow, and our
Yeah.
kids are still getting up at the same time,
Oh
so
yeah,
eat a
and you got the
cheeseburger.
kids to worry about in the morning too. You're like,
Ugh,
sir, you need to eat.
hangovers hit so much differently when you have a child standing next to your bed at 6 in the morning. "Mommy, wake up.
Like,
Mommy."
waiting. Oh my god, like, was thinking about that because all my friends are having, babies now, my
Yeah,
sister, like I told you, and I'm like, "Oh my god, it's already hard enough just, like, getting up in the morning, like, completely fine, let alone having that hangover." So, yeah, I think even jokes aside, having, like, a more honest conversation about alcohol, I think is really helpful too at our age, and I'll be the
yeah,
first to say where, like, I practice balance a lot, but at the same time, I'm guilty of overindulging too. We all are.
Right.
But I think the more you're just self-aware about it and like try to think of it more as like, let's have it with friends, let's have it with food, and think of the Europeans, like it's a cultural mindset, like with their meals and their loved ones, that kind of brings us full circle around and maybe has like, it gives us maybe a little bit more appreciation for it. So I like to tell anyone who's like cutting back on alcohol, maybe I'm not like trying to like be like,
Yeah.
drink, drink, drink. But at the same time, try to find that balance because I promise, there can be that sweet spot if you work for it
Yeah.
and you could still, wake up in the morning and function depending on how much you have. Some days more than others, of course.
I think it's like that with everything in life. Like,
Yeah, that's a
you
good
just
point.
it's all about a balance. You don't have to
Yes,
completely cut one thing out entirely. Just,
exactly.
yeah, be smart about it.
Absolutely.
When I first had my second daughter, Brooklyn, we went over to our neighbor's house that we had just met, and she was like, "Well, yeah, come over." And we had hung out like one time before. She and I went to the bar, and we're very alike. We are like, "Oh, this is great." So I knew we had like hit it off. And then she invited me over. She's like, "Oh, I've got a few friends coming over. We're gonna have margaritas, and then we'll come back to the house if you want to come over once the kids fall asleep and you guys got a babysitter." I'm like, "Sure." And I was 2 months postpartum, and I was
Mm,
like, "I bought tequila. I'm gonna drink
you're ready for
tonight." I
rain.
was so excited. And my social anxiety kicked in, and I
Mhm,
drank a little bit more than I should have,
mhm,
but I didn't notice because I was drinking it so fast it didn't hit me
right.
until all of a sudden it hit me.
And it probably
And
tasted great because you were like
I
ready to
was
go,
good.
like
I was
waiting
having
for
a
it.
grand old time.
Yeah.
Last thing I remember was me, her, and my husband standing in her kitchen. Everybody else had left, thank God. And then I woke up in bed, and I was like, yes. I looked at Rusty and I said,
I love that it was your neighbor though, right? So you had a short walk just back to the house to pass out. That
yeah.
sounds perfect.
Yeah. I was like, "Did you change me or did I get changed?" She's like, "I changed you because you
Did your
threw up
husband
on
come and
yourself."
catch that night? Did he take care of you?
He was my cleaning crew. I was like,
Good
what do you
man.
mean I threw up on myself?" And he goes, "Your new sweatshirt? Puked on it, red." I was like, and he goes, "Amanda's countertop? Puked on it." I was like,
Oh,
"No."
you're
I
like,
was like,
"No." Are you
"Not."
hearing this the next morning? That's the worst when you, like,
And
have
I
to
was
be told.
mortified. Like, this
But
is
I
my
think,
new
like,
mom friend.
talking about that with other, like, postpartum women is, like, so humanizing because it's not like you were like, "I'm gonna get fucking binge drunk," binge drinking, like, you
No,
weren't, like you were
I was
just
just
wanting to
trying
have
to,
a good time. But your
yeah.
body, after you just fucking had a human come out of you, is like, "I'm just trying to get back to normal, like, how do I process this?" And so, yeah, that is something that I'm sure so many people were in the exact same boat, so, like, yeah.
And thank God she's still the coolest person ever because I would have judged somebody who did that at my house. I'd have been like, "No, that bitch can't hang. They can't handle their alcohol. They can't come." And she was just, I texted her the next morning. I was like, "First of all, I am completely mortified about the fact that I threw up. Rusty told me the story. I'm so sorry. That's not an all the time thing. I just," and she was like, "Girl, stop apologizing. You had your cleaning crew there." She was like, "No, what's funny is I had just gotten done telling Rusty a story that when I was 2 months postpartum, I went to a friend's house with a full bottle of wine, drank the whole thing, and threw up in bed at 2 in the morning." She goes, "So you're good. You just did it on
You
the
literally
counter." I was
need
like,
that's the people
"Thank
you
you. I
should
love you."
be
Yeah.
engaging, surrounding yourself. Exactly. And even
Yeah.
if, like, they haven't been in the same boat, I think having that understanding is, like, so important, and, like, anyone in your position would be embarrassed, but at the same time, like, that could literally happen to anyone.
Yeah, and probably has at some point.
I don't even
You
think
know?
we need to get into my stories because there's too many to count for the sake of this podcast episode, but I have been there way too many times, alright?
I feel you. All right, so let's get started with the boxed wine. We're
Get
gonna
the
start with the
black
cab.
box,
Yes.
cab.
Yes, ma'am.
So, full disclosure, when we were supposed to film the podcast the other week when I was at my family's, that's where I had my boxed wine. So I currently don't
Okay.
have one right now, but good news, I go way back with Black Box. I go
Okay.
way back to not even just college, all of that. Real talk, it brings a lot of like happy, nostalgic like things to me because I remember going to my friends' houses and like their moms would have it in their fridge and like they would just like always go and like get it and like we'd sit down for dinner and like it was just like it's so many like cute like childhood memories in that sense. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
they didn't like offer me any. It's fine. But flash forward to now, as you know, I love accessible wines. I love budget friendly. I don't think, anyone should made to be felt bad about what they enjoy, right? No matter the cost or if it comes in a box. And I think now more than ever, boxed wine can be quality and, had like for a time and place and for certain reasons, right? And out of the, not many, grocery store big brands out there, Black Box has stayed OG. It's just like very consistent from, 15 years ago till now. I tried it last week and I'm like, she still slaps. She still hits the
Yes, she
spot,
does.
when you just want something super easy. You're with a bunch of friends or family and you're not really thinking so much about what you're drinking. Like you obviously want it to taste good, but you're going through it like at a fast pace.
Yeah.
That's where I really like it. And I've just had so many girls' nights where sure we liked the wine, we were drinking, box cab, whatever, but that wasn't really the focus of the night. We look back and we're like, we had wine, we had snacks, we were doing karaoke, and like that's the joy that it brought. So I'll be the first to say when you're going through this one and you're trying to get its complexity and like everything, like I don't really think it's so much about that, but is it
Right.
dry? Does it have a little touch of fruit? Does it, quench that wine Cabernet Sauv fix on your couch? Do you think it'd be good with some Cheez-Its? If it kind of checks all those box, it literally will, fit the bill for that. So, but have you had this one before?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I was gonna
Yeah.
say I don't
No,
think
I
that
have
I'd be
not.
on this podcast if you haven't had most box
She
wines
has
out there.
never.
This is your first time. So you wanna know, you could be so honest, and if you fucking hate this wine, that won't hurt my feelings. I didn't make this. I don't get any money from this brand, like, we could talk shit about it.
No, this one, I think, we had started with this one at my house for my husband and I because we both love wine and we love sitting on the couch watching shows, like, especially with kids, that's a date night we get pretty much. And so we were doing the tab of this, but then started getting heartburn from it after a while.
Mm.
And so I was like, well, okay, let's switch. So now we do the Nighthawk dark Malbec, and that's our favorite. Very
Is
good.
that under Black Box?
No, it's Nighthawk brand.
It's so the brand is Nighthawk, and it's a
Yeah.
boxed Malbec. I haven't had that one. I'll have to try it.
That's super duper good. It's their dark.
I know what you mean though, how like some wines you've like had for so long, like, easily could drink them, whatever, and then all of a sudden you're like, why do I get more acid reflux? Like, why do I get heartburn? And, as a like an expert, people ask me for that solution all the time. And I don't have that solution because our bodies are constantly changing, evolving. We develop allergies later on in life, for example. Like it fucking
We're both
sucks,
allergic to
right?
vodka.
Growing up.
All of a sudden,
What'd you get allergic to all of a sudden?
vodka apparently in the last
Oh,
couple of years. 7
but you
years
were
ago for
fine
me.
prior, and then the past couple years, you're like, "I just can't do it." Like, it affects you.
Yes.
Yeah.
However, I recently discovered that, there might be a difference between corn and potato-based vodka. So I told
Oh.
you last time I saw you that I was gonna test it out.
Did you?
And yes, this past weekend I tested it out and I had no problems with the potato-based vodka. Oh, see, I was a bartender at the time when I found out I was allergic. So I tried every kind of vodka. See, not all at the same time, just like sips of it here and there. But all of a sudden I hit a point where that was my drink of choice. And then all of a sudden 1 to 2 cocktails and I would be puking the next day for hours. It just felt
So you
terrible. So
can't
I'm like,
drink vodka at all anymore,
although it's been
but
7 years
you
now,
could
so
drink
maybe I can
potato
try it
vodka.
again. Try a different
I know,
kind.
and
I don't
that's the
know.
thing, it's like, you never know, right? When you go back to it later on, and, like, it could have been this sounds really dumb, but, like, the day, like, I feel like, when I'm on my period, for example, like,
Mm,
things affect me differently, like, it's so weird, like, what you ate that day, just so many things, which I know no one really wants to try that hard to, like, be able to, like, drink something that will
I
make
just
them.
switched to tequila, it was fine. Tequila
Exactly.
just
I'm
feel a
like,
lot
if
better.
it's hurting you that bad, it's like, okay, like, rule it out. But if
Okay.
someone was like, "Sam, every time I drink wine in general, I feel a certain way," I'd be like, "Okay, then we should probably see what that's all about," because there's so many wines out there from so many different regions and producers and way that it's made, which makes it not black and white and harder to know how certain wine's going to make you feel, but at the same time is reassuring that there's probably going to be one for you out there. But anyways, like back to, you switching over to the Malbec, I feel you on that with a lot of different wines. So anyone out there going through the same thing, like it's common, we could chat about it for sure. But what do you think of it? Cause you haven't had it before. How's it tasting?
This was delicious. I love
Not
it.
better than
Yeah,
not better than the Couch Crusher Pinot Noir
absolutely
though.
not. No, they're different. Not really comparable.
But exactly, it's not it but it fits the it does the job. Like, I did
Yeah.
a wine competition a few years ago where people in the industry and then just millennials not in the industry were given 8 glasses of wine. There was like white wine categories, reds, rosés, bubbles, and they didn't tell you what was boxed, what was canned, what was bottled. All we knew is price points were nothing higher than like 50. It wasn't like anything too crazy is the only feedback we got. And at the end of it, almost 90% of all the people, including the industry professionals and the non-industry, rated not just Black Box higher, but other I can't remember all of them, but, like, higher than a lot of the other classic bottled ones that were out. So, just a good reminder, a lot of it's mental when you pour it and you have it in the glass and you take away the beautiful label, like my Pfaff labels are so cute, so pretty, how can you not like it type of thing, like, if it has a dog on it, I'm gonna always love it, if it has a fucking dog, I'm gonna love it, a cat, like, that, I'm sold, but when you take away the label, the outside of it, and then you're just going in blind, it's really interesting how people's minds kinda shift, so, yeah.
My husband was a hard switch to the box wine. He says, even though he is an East Texas country bumpkin, redneck that you would never guess has a wine fridge at his home. The first time I showed up to his house for a date and there was a wine fridge, I was like, "Whose is that? Your
You're
ex's?"
so
He's like, "No, that's mine." I'm like,
It's like, "Give me more
"Huh."
credit."
Yeah, and he had some nice bottles in there, and he was like, "I love wine, my favorite." And, on top of that, he would drink nice bottles, like, nice $20 bottles, nice for if you're just gonna
Yeah,
waste them any day of the week type thing. And so, finally, when we had our kids, I was like, "Dude, daycare is expensive. We're not keeping up with this wine habit. We do in boxed. If we have a nice dinner or something, then we can up it to a bottle, but if it's just gonna be a daily drinker, then it's boxed, sorry." He was like,
is
"I'm
that
gonna
when
get a
you
headache." I
Is
know.
that when you kind of got more into, like, your boxed wine? Was,
Mhm.
like, realizing he drinks wine, I like, as just as much as me, for example, like, we wanna do it together, like, that's, like, the shift you're gonna have to do. That's interesting. Like, that was, like it wasn't even like you specifically liked a certain boxed wine, it was more you were being practical, which is yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
It was like we both like to drink it, and also we're the type to both of us, and I think a lot of people are this way, where if
Finish
you
it.
have an open bottle, yeah, you can't
It
just, like,
has to be
leave it,
finished.
throw it
Yeah,
out, which has led to quite a few hangovers because or we'll be like that, "Oh, I just want one more glass. Let's
and you
open
open
one more
another
bottle."
bottle.
And then I'm like, "Well, now I
Now you're
might as
committed
well."
to
Mm. And then, yeah,
I
if we ever got to
Many friends, many clients, same thing. Their significant others drink just as much as they do, so they know when they open it, like, they're going through that one and probably another one, but I'm lucky. My husband doesn't drink wine at home, like, he'll appreciate
oh,
it
at
if I,
home.
like, take him on a trip or something, or, like, do a wine tasting, just something, he's very supportive of all of that, but, like, he's like, "No, I'd rather smoke a joint," like,
I'm so
I
interested that you think that that's lucky because my significant other won't drink wine at all. He's never had a glass of wine, won't
wow.
try wine. So I'm like all by myself. So if I would have bought, I'm like, well, I'm committed. Now I gotta
I
drink it.
I feel
Yeah.
you on that, like, you're in it for the long haul, and we all, like,
Yeah.
wanna make the most out of the bottle, like, this is I don't do this a lot, but just for everyone at home, you can open a bottle and not drink it all and put it back in the fridge, and it
What
will
is
be
that
okay the
like?
next day. It will
But then
be
I'm like in the next
okay.
couple of days, I'm like trying not to drink. I'm like, well, I have this open bottle.
Right,
We're
it's
having
like,
dinner.
like,
We're just gonna have glass, and then
don't wanna do it another day
and
in a
now I'm
row.
drinking every day a glass.
The cycle
Yeah.
just continues. You know what you need to do is if he hasn't ever had, like, the opportunity to, like, go to, like, a region where it's just, like, wine tasting galore. It doesn't need to be, like, Napa, but just, like, somewhere where he's, like, immersed in it and he's having, like, a really good meal. I think that might just
Okay.
blow his mind, and I always think
Been
people
to
who are more
Italy.
like,
We
"I don't
are
need to
about to
drink it."
go to South America, to Chile and
Mhm.
Buenos Aires, all those areas in middle of November.
That's good
So
money.
maybe I
I
could
think
drink.
that might be where his mindset shifts, but I will say don't bank on him coming back and, like, wanting to drink more wine at home, he might just
Yeah.
love it there. A lot of people tell me, like, I love drinking when I'm, like, in the region and all of that, but
Yeah.
once I'm back at home, it's just not the same, but at least hopefully you could enjoy, all
That'd be
that
amazing. I
delicious
don't even know what
wine
that
and
would be
food there
like.
together.
Yeah,
That's
that'd be
awesome,
great.
that's on my bucket list, I'm jealous.
I have another question. So I've heard that well, not that I've heard that. some people say that when they go to Italy or something and they're drinking wine, they're like, I could drink all day and I didn't get hungover in Italy. Just like they can eat carbs and gluten and never have any issues type thing.
Mhm.
Are the wines made differently there with higher standards than the US? And is that why more people get hungover in the US than there? And extra question, does that mean if you buy an Italian wine and it says made in Italy and shipped from Italy, whatever, that you get the same exact thing? They don't like cheap it out to go to the US.
Yeah, oof, that's the question of the hour. I feel like I talk about it with people asking that, almost daily. And I will tell you from like what I've learned when I was abroad and with other industry professionals, I'll try to condense it in a nutshell because with anything in wine, it's not black and white. It really depends
Mhm.
like who you ask. So for everyone at home, take it with a grain of salt. But the reason that a lot of us feel better when we're drinking in Italy, Spain, France is due to a couple reasons. First and foremost, you're almost always having a meal when you're drinking wine abroad. I can't tell you any time in Italy where I sat down at a restaurant and I ordered an aperitivo, whether it was a spritz or a glass of wine, and they didn't automatically bring me a bowl of nuts, olives, potato chips, and refill it at my leisure. I was in Sicily, hole in the wall places, doesn't need to be a fancy place. That's just what they do, potato chips galore. So you're always snacking with it. So that's the big one. Next, service moves a lot slower there. You're not, like, getting served
Oh, damn.
all these glasses of wine back to back, like, it may seem like you drank all day, but very, very spread out as you were eating, as you were walking,
Drinking
all of
water.
that is very logical reasoning, so I have to bring that to the table, and then you
Okay,
could
that
get a
makes
little
sense.
bit more in depth. A lot of wine that at least I recall drinking, in Europe isn't super high alcohol, like above
Mhm.
14.5%. They make a lot of big dry reds that are like 12.5, 13%. So you're really drinking maybe a lot lower alcohol than you might be used to drinking, from your California cab, for example. And a lot of that has to do with terroir, which is climate, growing regions, and then to your last point, stricter rules and regulations. Absolutely. Europe does have a lot more stricter regulations that producers have to abide by when they're making wine. So definitely adhering to stricter quality standards and stuff like that. So that could be a really, really big role. With that being said, it makes it sound like, oh, then shit, everywhere in the US or not in Europe is gonna possibly not be as pure, not be as good. And that's where I really like to bring it full circle and remind everyone that's not true. There's a ton of wineries outside of Europe practicing those strict European old world standards. But the hard part is knowing which ones are. It's not going to like say on the label. You're not going to know when you buy. And that's what makes it, more challenging when you're out at a restaurant or a wine shop. But hopefully encourages you to talk to someone who works at the restaurant or works at the wine shop and asks what they think, or reaching out to someone like me to tell you my favorite producers, because I mean, I'm going to Paso Robles this weekend with some of my wine club members, and I mean, so many I could say, do very low intervention, vineyard to bottle, approach to production. But in Europe, just like with the food, it is much more common that everyone's doing it this certain way. So buying directly from Europe, from a winery, to you having it shipped is best case scenario, as opposed to going to Total Wine and sure you're buying an Italian wine. That might not be the same exact wine though that you could get in Europe because it had to go through a few other loopholes and steps
Oh,
of
okay.
distribution to get to the US. So to get the exact wine that you had on your European vacation, you bring it back with you or you buy directly from the winery. So always
Mhm.
buying directly from the winery, like how you did from me, from FAF, from whatever small producer that you're enjoying. That is where you really know exactly what's in your bottle, if that makes sense. And,
Yeah.
as much as I love that, I'm a sucker for, still mass production, wine. I know what I'm getting into either way. And it just really depends on, what's mattering, like matters to you most at the moment.
Let's move on to the Pinot Grigio, the box.
So did you get the Kirkland one?
I wasn't able to.
Oh, it's okay. Which one did you get?
The Voda box.
Okay, Boda Box. Had a Boda Box Pinot Grigio in a hot sec,
Sorry.
but I will say the reason that I was really stoked on the Kirtland Pinot Grigio is I think white wine, I don't know why, but like white wine coming out of boxes is just more consistently good
Yeah.
than certain reds. Like, I feel like it's more challenging to find a really good red boxed wine that you like. And I think a lot has to do with we all have certain expectations with our red wines, the level of tannins, acid, fruitiness versus earth, the way that it's oaked, right, to add the toastiness or woodsy or savory. So red wines just have so many different complexities that we might be a little bit more, opinionated on, which is why I think it's more difficult. White wine, I feel like people, especially during the summer, are like, I want a porch pounder. I want something crisp and easy. I always get told, not sweet though, and so that's
Yeah.
easier for me to be like, okay, I think you'll be happy with this. So last summer or this past summer, I really fell in love with the Kirkland Pinot Grigio because I found myself in 110-degree weather in Phoenix, just not really craving wine at all. Like I just was always so hot every time I stepped out by the pool, everything just already got warm really quick. I
Yeah.
just wanted something where I could just keep going back in the fridge and it's nice and ice cold and I could just go refill my wine, come back and I'm happy. And so the Kirkland Pinot Grigio for me and my friends, where I have a couple picky ones, were like, this is the porch pounder of the summer. Flash forward to like tonight as it's getting cooler and I'm more cozying up, watching a movie, stuff like that. I don't think it'd be my go-to. I think it's like it has its time and place. And that's kind of where I like to paint the picture for a lot of wines. But my boxed white wine is either outside during the summer or the movie theater. I'll like put it in my bag and bring it to the movie.
Frugal girl after my own heart.
I love a good movie theater boxed wine. I bring my candy. Yeah. And for anyone being like, Sam, support the movie theater, stuff too. Don't get me wrong. I buy a Diet Coke too. I buy my popcorn. So I can bring my wine in. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now people are gonna know when they see you coming though, so you're gonna have
I
to
know.
change up the
I know
bags
some
or
movie
something.
theaters even don't let you bring like bigger bags, but just play it cool,
Just my trick, if I've ever had to bring alcohol into a concert or anything, I already have big boobies.
You
So
got
I
the
would just
boobs.
stick the mini bottles of Fireball, and then I'd have 4 shots for all my friends. The only problem is they get warm real fast when they're in
Oh,
here in
warm
100 degrees.
fireball.
Oh, yeah. I mean, nobody's
Rather
not
have
picky when I only
I'd
sell
rather
beer.
have
So
free boob warm
yeah,
fireball than a $30 beer.
and the beers are this big. They're
And they get
huge.
so warm. When you're
Yes,
standing there at the concert,
we're
then
in
you're drinking
Texas.
this lukewarm beer that you're trying to finish because you spent so much money on it. I could not agree
Yeah,
more with that. I love that.
and it's like
I do have
30
to ask,
ounces,
when you go through
$30.
the metal detector thingy, it doesn't do
Plastic
anything.
caps. No, plastic caps.
Smart
You
girl.
can't do it in your boots though, because in Texas they don't check your boots.
Oh, they
Because
pass them down. Yeah.
Gotten away with it a lot.
some people get away with it, but a lot of college kids, if you're younger, they check your
Yeah.
inside of your boot to make sure.
Knowing
find
out.
me, I'm like listening to you, right, doing that, right? And then I go try it, and then like they all just like fall out of my bra because I have like no cleavage to hold it up. And I'm like, damn
You
it!
gotta do it in like a high shirt if you don't have booties. So, and I don't
I
know
have
how
to
big yours
really
are. I
plan
don't remember.
accordingly, a tight ass wire bra over it. Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
I love that.
What are we supposed to be tasting here? Sorry, since we're
So
supposed to roll time card.
Pinot, so do you guys drink Pinot Grigio ever?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would put Pinot Grigio, kind of in our Sauvignon Blanc category. So it's
Love a
going to be like
Sauvignon.
your bright driven citrus style white, whether, you get lemon, grapefruit, tart apple, pear. And I just had a conversation about this earlier. Like, say you're like, yeah, say I'm like, I don't get apple, I don't get pear. Like, you're not wrong. Like, but do you still feel like it's tart and crisp?
Mhm.
It doesn't taste like a baked apple pie, that you're
No, it's
pulling
like
out
a
of the
green
oven.
apple.
The green
Yeah.
apple, exactly. So even if we could all just be like, yep, I get what you mean, zesty tart crisp, then we're, on the same page. As far as like specific descriptions, that's where it gets all nitty gritty. And it depends, what do you eat on a normal basis? Like, what are you used to? Someone on a virtual tasting the other night said that they got, what was it, a kumquat in one of the wines we were tasting? I've never had a kumquat before.
They're
Is that
very
even how you
sad.
say it? I could be saying it completely wrong, like kumquat.
I'd love
No,
it.
that's right.
But it took me a second to like relate to her into what she was getting, and that's totally fine because our descriptions are going to be different. But just very zesty, easy, crisp. Hopefully on the dry side is always key, and no, evidence of, in box wines especially, you're not going to get heavy oak. So if it's a white wine, I'm sure it's not going to have malolactic fermentation, which is what you get in oak barrels. And that's like creamy, toasty,
Unless it's
really
a
rich.
Chard, right?
Say
Like
that
a
again.
Chardonnay? Unless it's like a
Yeah, like
Chardonnay, then
exactly.
yeah.
People will oak Chardonnays, and that's a good shout out to Chard. Not all Chardonnays are oaky, by the way.
Yes,
If
you can get
anyone
oaked or
is,
unoaked.
yep, you can get oaked or unoaked. Exactly. You could go straight to the source of France, to Chablis, Burgundy, and just get naturally minimal oaked or unoaked styles. So anyone who's had a bad experience with Chard listening to this, I would love to change your life with that. But yeah, so this one, no oak present, light and zesty. And then as far as like alcohol, I feel like you could check on the box, but alcohol should probably be low, like anything, under 13% is pretty
Yeah, I wanna say
standard.
it's like 12.5 or 13, somewhere in there,
Yeah,
but
perfect. So anything below 13, classic low alcohol, total porch pounder. As you more approach like that 13, 8 to 14, yes, you're getting into more high alcohol. But I tell everyone, whether you're drinking from a box, a can, a bottle of wine, I don't really care how high alcohol it is. It should never come off that way. Like a decent
yeah.
wine should never smell boozy, should never burn your throat like you took a shot of
No.
tequila. So that's something
Yeah.
I've noticed in some, not just boxed wines, but just like a lot of wines where I pour it and I'm like, I'm getting so overwhelmed by that alcoholness. I'm not even getting the good stuff. So I always
No.
say take a beat and let it sit for like 20 minutes. And if it still doesn't open up, then yeah, it's probably not the best. Especially for box wine, it does benefit from like a little aeration, giving a little swirl, stuff like that. So sounds kind of contradicting going an extra step when you're trying to make your life convenient with a boxed wine. But I always am just doing my duty of like telling you ways that it could taste better.
Yeah. Let's try what do we call this? Rosé?
Oh, so this is pink wine. Do you guys ever watch New Girl?
Yes.
Okay.
Obsessed.
Okay, I knew
Yeah.
you were my girls. Okay, so in one of the first episodes, maybe even the first episode, Jess says pink wine makes me slutty. So ever
Okay.
since me and Ella, my partner on this wine label, got together. If we're just, New Girl fanatics, we just like speak in New Girl quotes. So when we made a rosé, we're like, how fun would it be to call it Pink Wine Makes Me Slutty? We went back and forth a lot and we're like, well, for just keeping it a little clean, I know my mom, might say something like, let's just call it pink wine. And then those that know. So when you get to like talk with me about it, it's a fun little addition to the story behind it. But this is 100% rosé of Pinot Noir. So
Oh, oh,
what makes it
wow.
is a lot of rosés that we tend to drink, especially in a box from the grocery store, are not usually from one grape varietal and aren't made very intentionally. Sometimes they could be made from leftover grapes, blend stuff like that, which that is not a bad thing at all. It just makes it a little bit easier. We made this from one vineyard and from one grape, which is the Pinot Noir. And the reason that it has that certain shade, that hue of pink, this is a real good reminder for anyone who are boxed Franzia pink Zen days, how it was really dark pink and it was like this, it was known as like the pink sweet stuff is kind of how I remember
Mhm.
rosé to be. It took me a while to get that out of my head that the darker pink it is doesn't necessarily mean sweeter, but it's not our fault because so many brands of wines we would drink were dark pink and were sweet. So now flash forward to 2025, a lot of rosés, the reason it's darker isn't artificial or sweetness. It's just the longer time spent with its skin contact on, the tannins. So the longer
Okay.
the winery ferments it with its skins on, the darker it's going to be. So I always tell people think of rosé as a red wine, taking a little dip with its skins on, and then they remove them and continue fermentation. So lighter skin contact would be a lighter blush rosé, darker will be a more medium to full. So this one is more like that orangey, peachy type of vibe, not super blush, kind of like in the middle.
That
And
is
we were
not too
just going
sweet.
for, again, like porch pounder, super approachable, like French Provence style rosé. Like if you guys have ever had like a French style rosé, they're never sweet, they're tart fruit driven, maybe a little floral. That's kind of the vibe we wanted. Nothing too dramatic or, offensive in either way. The way we describe our wine a lot, no matter what varietal it is faff is unoffensive. Faff means fuss in British slang, like don't make a faff about it, don't make a fuss about it. So we really want to be like this like delicious wine for the people and just not really rub anyone the wrong way depending on what they like. So this is the rosé that kind of checks the boxes whether you're a rosé fan or you're not. A lot of people, the worst comment I've gotten is like, I probably wouldn't drink it again, but I'll like it now, you know? And I'm okay with that because rosé is not for everyone. All wines are not for everyone. And I think it's just for me, I like it for going back to the boxed Pinot Grigio. I like this on a summer day. I like this by the pool. But as we move into Thanksgiving and Halloween, I know Halloween's coming up. I don't know when you're going to post this podcast, but candy pairings are really great with rosé. If like you like Starburst, Sour Patch, Skittles, like fruity, sour, or sweet candy, rosé's really great with it. So if you need a reason to have it, that would be it. So that is the bubbly. I don't know if you gals tried that. I'll be
Yeah.
honest, I'll
I
pick a favorite. She's my favorite at the moment. So this
She
is my
scared
name
the
of more
crap out of me.
iconic duo. Wait,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I love bubblies, and I just, like, popped that super
I was
loud.
pouring the red wine and I shot it up and I spilled some couch pressure because she scared me so bad I wasn't expecting it.
Gotta
It's
lick it off the
delicious.
ground.
I love this.
This is
I'm
super
so
good.
glad
Yeah.
you like it. And you're bubbly girls, you like sparklings?
I
Yeah,
do. I like a
this is
sparkling rosé a lot, but this I would drink like the same
love
as a
this.
sparkling rosé.
You would have liked our first bubbly. It was a sparkling rosé. This was from 4 years
Ooh,
ago. We never make the same wine twice, but that was our
okay.
very first wine we ever made under the label, and it got a lot of pink bubbly doubters to like it, right? Because you know how people are, they're like, oh, it's pink and bubbly. No. So going back to this one, it's a Blanc de Blanc, which means 100% white of white. So it's made from Chardonnay. It's 100% Chardonnay. So
Okay.
going back to our Chardonnay topic, I get a lot of people every time I lead a tasting with it. They're like, oh my God, I thought I didn't like Chardonnay, but I love this, Sam. So, a really good reminder Chardonnay can be so diverse and made in such light, crisp ways. I think this one tastes a lot like green apple as well and just
Yeah,
has a really good balance of acidity. Acidity is when it's really tart and like really salivating. And I personally don't like when a wine's really acidic, especially
yeah,
bubbles, where you're like that heartburn, going back to that topic. I love that this one's very mellow. Like, yes, it's tart
More
and
so,
crisp, but like
and it's
not
more so
twisted.
effervescent than like bubbly, like a Brie type thing.
It's very she's very bubbly. She is still categorized as
Like a bubbly.
a classic brut made in the what's called the champagne method. So
Okay.
basically we make it the same way champagne's made in France. We just legally can't call it that. But I will say she is very effervescent. Like you said, the cork kind of like popped. I've had
Yeah.
so many times where I wasn't quite ready to open her and then it popped.
Some champagnes like hurt my throat to drink them because they're so like aggressive with the bubbles.
Yeah,
That's
I
I
know
like
that.
this. It's an easy drinker. Yeah.
I know when I do my tasting events, I'll start everything off with a saber sword, and
Yeah.
we'll saber the top of the champagne bottle off. So if anyone needs
I
to
love
know how to
it.
saber, ask me.
follow
Do
you.
not saber without a little tutorial, but it's so fun to do. And the last thing I was
Okay.
gonna tell you guys about that, if you look at her label, she's eating French fries. So name a more iconic duo. In my opinion, there's nothing
Like,
better than other label, sorry, the
no,
Blanc de
sorry.
Blanc,
I was
eating
like,
french fries. No, you're good. Yeah. So, sparkling wine, a classic champagne style wine, and a salty fried food is just the perfect pair. So whether, you're having In-N-Out, McDonald's, popcorn, I just love a classic kettle chip, potato chip. That saltiness that you get when you take a bite and sip of bubbles, it's like a palate cleanser. It basically makes you go, like salivate and you're like, oh, I want more of it. So anytime you want like your favorite salty snack, think bubbles, but hot tip, bubbles pair with everything. So whether you're having Reese's pretzels or salty popcorn or a freaking burger, like it's gonna work. So it's like my little hack for everyone is to always have a good bubbly at home during the holidays. And you could easily pair it with whatever you're making or what friends are bringing over for food and stuff.
okay, and we have our last minute with you here. We've got the couch crusher. You talked about it a little bit at first. So if there's
Yeah.
anything you want to add, please do. But then I have a 5-second game to play. if
Love it.
you
Love
do
it
you wanna
down.
add anything to this? Or you want it
The
to
only
be
other thing with the couch crusher, she is our first ever red.
Mhm.
So we're very, very happy
Oh,
that
okay.
she's been such a hit. And obviously, as a back to my, whole series of couch crushers on social media, it's just really cool to have her come to life. And I really like her with Cheez-Its and cheese crunchies from Trader Joe's.
Um, so one of Sam's things on her Instagram that she always does between the other stuff is she does couch crusher pairings and she picks McDonald's or Taco Bell or Cheetos, anything. So we have 5 different snacks to go with the 5 wines, and you're gonna tell us which one should go with which, and then you
Love
can
it.
get off the call.
Love it.
All
Okay,
right,
so I
so
see you have Reese's pretzel,
we have the Reese's Pretzels, we have cheddar jalapeno Cheetos, we have chicken top ramen,
chicken
and
top
basically like
ramen.
a Samoa.
Yeah. And then okay, kinda like the okay, just like the Girl Scout cookies. Okay, love it. All right. So we're going to do the rosé with the cheddar, jalapeno Cheetos because
Okay.
as much as I love rosé with sour candy, my other love is rosé with something with a bit of a spice. I think the
That's
fruit
good.
notes can really, like, soothe your tongue, make it all nice and juicy, bring out more of, like, the strawberry and watermelon in the rosé. What do we think?
Uh,
Love it.
okay, very good. Okay.
I would say for the Reese's pretzels, because it has a little bit of like that peanut butter creaminess, that will probably be best with the Pinot Noir. I am a little bit picky when it comes to anything really sweet and chocolatey with red wine. So, something to really remember as long as your red wine is very juicy, more fruit driven, soft tannins, that will be
Wow, that's good together.
okay with chocolate. It'll work well. Just avoid any red that's really dry and intense and earthy.
That's
What do
super
we
good
think?
together.
That one was
So
cool?
good.
Okay, I know you need
Yeah.
to pick your favorite. And then for the Blanc de Blancs, it could go it's really hard because, like I said, it goes with everything, but I think you should experiment because 'cause they're very different and take a bite with the Samoa cookie and see how it
Mhm.
tastes, and then take a bite with the ramen and see how it tastes, and that is gonna prove to you that 2 drastically different tasting snacks will work, but of course, you might like one better, so you tell me which one you think matches better with the bubble.
And that's the bubbly, right?
Yeah, that's with the bubbly, because
Okay.
bubbles are just like that palate cleanser, so it's easy to go from different snacks back to it, right? So even though the cookie and the noodles are so different, if you take a sip in between, it kinda makes your mouth salivate, and then you're able to kinda, like,
Wow.
regroup.
That's cool. Okay. Sometimes bubbles are always my favorite.
Right? So you don't have to overthink what you're eating with it. You're just like, "It's just gonna work." And then just know that it shines best with salty, and obviously the noodles are salty, so I was thinking that might be my go-to, but at the same time, like, the cookie's gonna be great too. It's not gonna be bad.
Yeah. I thought
I
you
would
just dipped the
say
bottle in.
with the cookie, if we had, like, the Malbec or a
Ooh,
Zinfandel, that would be really good. I love Malbecs or Zinfandels with chocolate and coconut because they mimic, like, the baking spices. They kinda mirror each other. So for anyone who loves, like, coconut and chocolate and caramel, Zinfandel, that wine, that red is really wonderful with it.
awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for being on the pod. I have a
Thank
million more
you.
things I'd love to talk to you about, but I guess maybe one day we'll do a part 2 or a
I
second
would
one.
love that, better yet, to have some wine and snacks in person, but
I was gonna
anytime
say,
you're in Phoenix, let me know, and you're in Texas?
I'm in Texas, but one of my best friends lives in Chandler. And so I go visit her 1 to 2 times a year. Kayla came with me this last year, and we'll be going back. We're gonna make it our annual trip. So that would be super fun if we could get together.
Please let me know. Please let me
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I would love to hang out with you guys in real life. Arizona, we got some good little wine bars and stuff going on, so we could
Yeah.
have some fun. But I would love that. Obviously, it'd be an honor to be on your podcast again too. So endless
Aw.
stuff to talk about and have fun with. You guys are you're my people. You're fun. You're
Yay.
silly.
Well, thank you so much. Oh, and for anybody who doesn't know, Kayla recently found out she's pregnant by the time this post she'll have posted. So that's why Coreena gave us her kitchen to film in
And a
since she
big
doesn't have
I'm bummed
children.
that I didn't get to meet her, so we
I
definitely will have
know.
to do a part 2. It was wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for trying my wines, both of you guys. You were so sweet. You're so
Phenomenal.
wonderful.
So
And
good.
I
The
hope you
couch
guys get
structure
Enjoy it the
And the
rest of the
bubbles are my
night.
favorite.
Have a fun girls' night. No hangovers though. Praying no hangovers, just good wine, good vibes, good
Mhm.
snacks.
All right. Thank you so much.